Hey, welcome to the very first episode of The Conversation. I'm Kemi, here with my co-host Kevin.
Hi everyone, I'm Kevin, really excited to be here. In this episode, we sit down with Peter and Angel, the co-founders of Synergy Education, which is based in New York City. Kemi and I actually met a few years ago at a Synergy workshop, which makes this conversation feel full circle.
Huge thank you to them for taking the time to chat with us. We get into an open, thoughtful conversation, one that invites you to pause, reflect, and maybe see things a little differently.
Hey, Kevin, Kemi, welcome. This is Angel, and welcome out east to our home, and glad to have you here and just to have a great conversation today.
And I'm Peter. Good morning, good afternoon. Nice to be with you.
Thank you guys for doing this. Appreciate it in your home.
Of course.
So this podcast came about on a vision board that I made while in Synergy. So dreams come true. So tell us, what is Synergy?
Peter's the shy one.
Oh, I'm going
to...
Yeah, you go ahead.
I get that.
Peter's the shy one, yeah. Synergy. Synergy is corporate and personal development where you folks met each other is in the personal development part of the work that we do, which was a self-expression for us 15 years ago. Wow, it's been a long time. 15 years ago. I had transitioned away from corporate banking career, and Peter mostly had done this all his life, and we decided, okay, what's next? Peter had gone through a personal physical illness recovery journey, and I was kind of in my what's next. I had been doing corporate banking for 12 years, and approximately 8 years before that, I was an engineer. Shoot, that feels like a lifetime.
God forbid.
A chemical process engineer. And, during that period, in 2009 and 10, a dear friend of Peter, who was my trainer, my mentor in this transformational leadership work that we had done, she had also gotten ill, and she actually later passed away in 2010, was, it kind of led us all to this reflection of what's next in our life, and decided that we wanted to do this, at least for me. I'm talking about doing this transformational leadership work. At the beginning, didn't think I had enough experience, good enough, all those conversations that we deal with, right, at Synergy. But it was more an impact conversation that led us there. And so we, with a group of amazing graduates and trainers, got in a room and created Synergy from a breakdown that we had well-being, a breakdown. That sounds harsh, but just, considering what was next for us after having been in a couple of, or tried a couple of things. And at the end of 2010, we launched Synergy.
Wow.
Really we started doing corporate work, but it very soon blossomed to doing work with you. Yeah, individual folks. We had partners, I would say, in doing that work back then, and then it's flourished 15 years later that we continue doing this. A little bit older, wiser, tough times during COVID, etc. And, amazing work out in the world, Middle East, Europe, Latin America, and Asia. And it's been quite a ride. So we've been able to work with from homemakers to students to CEOs, people that are really in their life inside of amazing conversations of not just transforming their workplace, but really their lives and creating an impact in the world. And for me, it's, I think, the last quote unquote job I'm ever going to have after all those two careers that I mentioned before, banking and engineering. And this is now the longest lived project, career, position I've had in my life. And it's for me, I think, a journey.
Very cool.
of transformation, and discovery that even though we've been doing this for 15 years, there's something new and deeper and newer conversations, and I would say more challenging, that we've been in the last 3 years specifically. So, anyway, sorry, I got a little long-winded.
No, I apologize.
Okay. Peter, what about you? I was always curious about how you got involved in this.
Yeah, so for me, it started, really, this has been my career for the last 35 years or so. The work, Angel and I began Synergy 15 years ago, as he said, but for me, I started this many, many years ago when I was like 20 years old, 19 years old. I was in London as a bartender, and these people came in and said, you have to come and do this thing, and I went and did this thing, and for me, it was like, okay, awesome, that's exactly who I am. I'm not going to be a banker. I'm not going to be,
an engineer.
I'm not going to be, right. I'm not going to be a whatever.
Jealous. Don't be jealous.
Jealous, exactly. And so that's where this began for me. And the work that, kind of the foundation of the work that we do, 30 Seconds of History, kind of began in the 60s. There was a fellow named Alexander Everett who began an organization called Mind Dynamics, which is where Werner Erhard, John Hanley, various other people came on to found their own organizations like EST and LifeSpring in the early 70s. And EST later became Landmark Education, which lots of people know. So when I first did this, which was like early 80s, it was a variation. So I found out later, this guy Robert had come to the U.S., done the EST training, gone back to the U.K., repackaged it so he wouldn't be sued, and delivered this, very intensive, extraordinary experience for me. And so then later on in my 20s, I started working with Landmark Education before it was called Landmark Education, and then went into LifeSpring. And so my background was kind of all those larger organizations of my kind of training and being taught to lead. And then, many other stories in between, working in Africa and, lots of other stories in between. And then 15 years ago, we started Synergy in New York.
So you guys met before you started Synergy, obviously, right?
Yes, Angel and I have been together for 23 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And thank you. Yes, thank you. Congratulations to me. And then, many years before Angel, when I met him, he was a banker. So that's what he was doing. And I was doing mostly kind of corporate consulting work.
Okay.
And then there was a time he's like, okay, I was like complaining like one day too many. And he's like, why don't you do something else? So I stepped out for a minute and did something else. And then when my friend Robin became ill, she actually passed within 3 months of when she became ill, which was very fast. Everybody kind of got rallied around transformational work once again. And then I said, okay, let's get back into this and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So she passed in 2009?
January of 2010. She was diagnosed at the end of 2009 in October.
It was October. She and I both were diagnosed in the same week.
Wow.
With cancer, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Hers was more serious pancreatic cancer, so within 3 months, yeah.
I remember you speaking about the trip you guys took to South Africa, right, during when apartheid ended? And
yeah, more than a trip. We moved there. So, again, almost 30 years ago, well, actually not almost, 30 years ago, we had friends that were taking this kind of transformational work experience and going to other places. So we had folks that went to Moscow and Buenos Aires and that. And Robin and we met in kind of April or May and fell in love in like 30 seconds. And that Thanksgiving, we spent the weekend in her house in Sag Harbor. It was just she and I. And we were just talking about if money was no issue, if circumstances were no issue, what would you be doing with your life? So we were having that kind of conversation. And we thought we would want to do what our friends were doing, which is take the work of transformation. Because, growing up, living in the U.S., people are very fortunate in general. Mm-hmm. There's lots of exceptions, of course. But when you look around the world, how human beings live and grow, the challenges, etc. So we thought, let's go somewhere. And my friend Robin during the 80s had followed the whole apartheid conversation, fights, demonstrations, etc. So she said, let's go to South Africa. And so we did. And so we moved. And it was really soon after apartheid ended, like soon in the sense that they were running the Truth and Reconciliation Commission hearings around the country. And that's how we kind of got involved in that community effort. And we were there for a couple of years.
Did you guys actually go to those hearings or those testimonials?
We did, which I attribute to my friend Robin, because it's not something I was so aware of. I was like 31 years old. I was just going to go there. We were going to do something fun and amazing and an adventure. But it was way more an awareness conversation that she brought to me. So, yeah, they had hearings around the country at the time, and they held them in, schools and universities and things. And she said, let's go. So we went and we sat in the auditorium, and most of on the stage were primarily attorneys, because the whole conversation or intention of the TRC was to bring reparation possibilities to people who had been wronged, which was lots of people. Mm-hmm. And so in that setting, we met some young folks, freedom fighters in their 20s and early 30s who had been involved in the whole struggle.
Wow.
And very soon thereafter, we started doing primarily the work we were doing in the townships around Cape Town, inside of community building. And just because the laws changed, people's eyeballs and views and filters didn't change.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
It's culture.
It's culture, and it's your journey and your pathway and what you brought up inside of and what you understand and what you've seen and what you haven't seen. So, and it's our own biases and prejudice and all those things that are part of being human. And just because the laws changed doesn't mean people saw that instantly. Mm-hmm. So,
how long did you guys stay there?
A couple of years.
Wow.
A couple of years. And we were endorsed by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was headed by Archbishop Tutu and President Mandela. How that happened was, inside of working in the township communities, a lot of the young men, primarily in this case, who were the freedom fighters, were all given therapists to help them figure out how they're going to be in life and move forward. And after they would participate in the basic and the advanced course, as you know, they would come back and they'd go to their therapist next Wednesday or whenever it was, and the therapist go, what the hell happened to you? Because you came back to life. And we've been working for months and and all of a sudden you're alive again. And so then we met with the commissioners of the TRC, and they endorsed what we did. I have one of my most proud things is this beautiful letter from the commissioners of the TRC.
That's amazing. That's so cool. So you saw the impact, obviously, right away. Not right away, but within
and it was complicated. It's a complicated space. It's not like that fixed everything.
Right.
But there was the chance for a conversation that was deeper and more meaningful, and that people could get back in touch with, how to be their best
version.
Yeah, I guess. Simply said, but yeah.
So these men were in therapy for how long at that time?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, they were all assigned therapists.
Got it.
So it's not like they went out and tried to find a therapist. That's what the TRC was doing, was giving them therapists. So it mustn't have been very long, because we weren't there very long after apartheid ended. So it can't have been very long.
But right away the therapist knew something changed.
Exactly.
Right.
And you know what? In the room, you knew something was different. For me, I sit in front of the rooms in New York, and people share about whatever they share about. I don't mean to diminish, but, my mother doesn't, abused me or doesn't love me or whatever. And back then, people would stand up and share about, my 3 brothers were blown up in the living room and, and being tortured. So that was also part of the reason why they had therapists. And they would share about that in the settings, being, strung upside down, et cetera. Not to go into details, but... And what did I know? It was like sitting in front of that room listening to people sharing so intimately about deeply disturbing and damaging experiences. So inside of all of that, yes, they were given therapists. And then, like any one of us with that experience, how happy would you be walking through life? So when they would attend the basic and the advanced course, et cetera, and they'd come back, they're like, what happened to you? Because all of a sudden they got re-engaged in a vigorous, passionate, healthy way to help their friends and community members to do the same.
That's awesome. It's like one of the great things about Synergy, I think, is that it's within a group format. And Kemi and I were talking about this, is that you are able to share much more vulnerably with strangers often, I believe, than you are with family members or friends even.
People say that all the time. And I do think that's true. And, it's like you can be, in a sense, kind of anonymous in that setting, right? And so you can be pretty vulnerable in yourself and knowing you could walk away and it's okay because nobody's creating
judging
a dossier,
you,
right?
And let go some of the, people carry pain and trauma. Mm-hmm. So you don't completely let it go in that environment, but you start to do that work there. You start to, because the setting allows it. And you also you're not alone in it.
Right.
Yeah. When people start sharing, you're like, okay, well, what I'm going through is nothing compared to what some other people have gone through.
Yep.
It's a great release.
So do you feel it's more impactful to do this type of work, like in a group, as opposed to like therapy, one-on-one?
So I'll speak. I wouldn't want to frame it that way because the whole therapeutic journey can be transformational for people. So I think they're distinct. Mm-hmm. What I think the benefits of doing it in a group is, so the way that we approach this conversation is a lot of experiential work. Right. So not lecture, not, slides and data and manuals, very much moments and experiences and activities and things where you find yourself in the midst of something. And you get to bounce off of other people. So that's one of the things about being in a group is you get to hear other people share their experiences. And that may not be your experience, but you can relate. Mm-hmm. You can relate to whatever, the pain, the triumph, the growth. We can all relate with each other in that sense. So being in a group kind of gives you that, great opportunity to see yourself and observe yourself in other people. And so I wouldn't say it's better or worse. It's just different.
It's just different, yeah.
And I just want to add to that conversation because we get asked that all the time, because there are some therapeutic elements in the work that we do around healing, but we don't live there as long as what I think a well-versed therapist does. So we would never want to represent that the work we do is therapy, but where we kind of veer off a little bit, for lack of a better word, is we move to results. What are the results and what's next?
Got it.
Not that therapy doesn't do that in a certain way, but it takes, there's a certain journey, and different traumas are different, right, for people. So that's why people are able to move, I think, very quickly through at least some of the pain, or at least start to put in kind of a stake in the ground of where they're moving to, as a declaration. And when everyone is kind of doing that inside of a space, I don't know, there's a moving forward paradigm that's for me occurs a little bit quicker,
yeah,
it becomes contagious. You see other people doing. You can say, I can do it as well.
Results, baby. That's at the end of the day what people want.
Yeah. I'm glad you made that clear, because when I was telling friends and family I took Synergy, the course basic, and they're like, how was it? I'm like, it was like therapy on steroids. That's how it felt for me.
Sure.
But yeah, when I explained to them like what opened up for me and just taking the basic, they're like, wow, people have been in therapy for this long. I even had a model of mine like get rid of her therapist. She fired her therapist.
Oh gosh.
She was like, what are we doing here? We're just, every week we're talking and nothing's changing. So yeah, I felt like it was therapeutic.
And we have a lot of therapists and psychologists that refer people to Synergy.
Okay. Right.
And how they've described it to me is that it's a beautiful marriage. So it helps people move more quickly. Mm-hmm. And then the work that they get to do as a therapist is deeper and more forwarding in like a short period of time.
That's
not
awesome.
That they may not have ever gotten there, but boom.
Yeah. Well, it's like an awareness. You become aware of what's holding you back. And maybe you don't share as much with your therapist one-on-one. Because sometimes you can feel a little judged by therapists, I think, at least in my experience. Story for another day.
Story for another day. Do you guys see therapists?
No.
No.
I have exactly twice. And the 2 times that I saw, it's very specific in my memory.
Okay.
And the 2 times that I did was one time around when my friend Robin passed.
Okay.
And I had come out of surgery myself and was in the ER or the ICU for like a week. So that was one time when it was funny, I was walking with a dear friend of mine months later, and she said to me, "You're depressed." And it hadn't occurred to me. And so I thought, okay, I had my own judgment about therapy. So, you're weak, something's wrong, whatever. So I did. And after like 3 conversations with the therapist I had, she told me a few things. And I was like, oh, wow, it put everything straight for me. Mm-hmm. And then that was all I needed at that moment.
Okay.
Wow.
And then another time was when our daughter, we have 3 girls, our eldest daughter at the time when she was 5 had leukemia. And that was very traumatic for us, 2 years of intensive experience. And so in that time frame of my life was the second time when I sought that out. And again, for me, I needed some conversations of how to frame things, and that's what was powerful for me. So yeah, 2 times I did. As a regular, no.
Yeah, and that sounds like, I was going to say, such a bi-coastal question. Do we see a therapist? Right? Not that there's anything, like I said, wrong or seeing a therapist. For me, I don't think we have a charge on that conversation, but that's what it is. It's almost, do you see a doctor every week, or do you see, for your physical care? So they're not exactly the same thing, because I do think for some people it's appropriate and it's a maintenance question. For us, we have seen therapists, so clearly not a charge, and we see the beautiful marriage and the work of healing that occurs. Just it's not an ongoing conversation like that. We don't have a regular therapist. We love what we do have is, and we seek out, is coaching. A lot of coaching in terms of business coaching or personal coaching from time to time. We ourselves being effective coaches, because you get that third person perspective. So I think it's become not muddled, but confused, that conversation of therapy, coaching. It's all under one bucket.
Yeah.
It's just there's such different distinctions. Just like people that, work out have different distinctions on all those machines in the gym. They work out different muscles. Yep. The coaching versus therapy, very different conversations. And so, that it's like, oh, I see my therapist every week. That's an interesting conversation for me, because they may be resorting to that. Not that a therapist is not effective. It's where maybe they're looking for coaching, which is something very different. They want to be effective inside of a certain area in our lives, which is where, again, it comes back to the work that we do, the marriage of both the healing piece inside of the therapy, and then the effective, they may have a blind spot around something, which therapy sometimes uncovers too.
Right.
But the way we do it just has a different construct.
But we lead all the time. So just very specifically to us, leading transformational work puts you back in the inquiry every single time you do it. So we're like all the time in the questions of our lives, like every weekend about where am I being effective? Where are the gaps? What's missing? What am I producing that I can't figure out, et cetera, et cetera. We're very specific to us, but all the time in that kind of inquiry of conversation on a personal level.
How is that to constantly...
I know, right?
Is it exhausting?
No,
fun,
it's enlightening.
Tiring?
No, well, I mean,
exciting.
It's tiring because it's, you're giving energy and you're listening. You have to be present. It doesn't matter what the hell's going on in your life.
Right. Like
when our daughter was sick, that was like such a challenging time to be able just to be present in life. Right. And then get up. Hi, I'm Peter. Good evening. Welcome. And not as a performance, but as a way to be present and connected with people. So leading has been a gift, but it's not a free gift.
Well, do you feel you get energy back from, when you're leading sometimes?
Always. Mm-hmm. But it's not even that. It's not like what I get back, if you like. It's more, it returns me always to take a look at myself to be in the presence of how hard it is to be a human being sometimes. You know, being in the dance of where I could be better or more effective or, I don't know, more loving, more forgiving, more open. You know, every time I lead, I run up against my own cynicism and skepticism and criticism and judgments and all of those things. So it always returns me to be a little more pliable inside of my own life. And just, I don't know, not an aside, but even like as a parent, that has been like an amazing thing in raising our daughters, which is, again, a whole other story. It didn't just happen easily. It was quite a complicated journey for Angel and I to have kids. You know, inside of being a parent, like, you know, everybody who's a parent knows that that's a challenging journey. You screw up, you do it wrong, you know, you damage them, you do all that stuff. You know, it's lasting and never whatever. So, you know, being in transformational work also is the chance to kind of get back into that conversation with myself every week.
Well, on that note, have they done any of the synergy work, or are they just doing it all the time at home?
Yeah, all the time at home, exactly. Not yet, but it's funny. I talked to Charlotte the other day. I said, she's 17 and almost a half. I said, maybe it's time for you to do the basics soon.
Wow.
Oh my
And I said, because she always said she wanted to.
Okay.
Right.
And I said the other day, do you still want to? She's like, maybe. So that was like, oh, now we've moved to maybe. But okay.
Well,
I'm going to get her before it's a no.
well, no, she wants to.
Yeah, I think so.
We used to have it's got mothballed right now just because of we have the programs. We also have a third not-for-profit, our third company, which is really a not-for-profit that we were doing these programs with youth, and she always wanted to do that. And I said, oh, during COVID, right, because of we really couldn't do it properly. There's a director and background checks, et cetera, because we are dealing with teens. And so, you know, we've gotten back up and running post-COVID, and now she's going to be an adult in 2 seconds next July, and she definitely is interested. We don't push that conversation with our girls. They're just very normal. We don't, although they do absorb the transformational language, but we're not, you know, coaching them and
Charlotte's more of a yes. The twins are a little more cynical.
The twins
so
are,
I don't know.
The twins
still young.
They just turned 14, although they act like, you know, they're 24.
Exactly.
So, and they're very smart and witty and, you know, just normal kids, but high functioning, performing kids. Women. They're women, really. But it's, I think Charlotte's going to be, yes, let's do it. And then that'll be fun for you.
It'll be fun to lead.
Yeah. Well, you guys would lead, so
We would.
that would be difficult, no?
Yeah.
Would it be
don't know.
for?
You know, I led to my sister.
Okay.
So my eldest sister, who has passed, but I had her come to New York to do the basic, I don't know, 10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
And I told her in advance, I'm not going to say anything to you. Okay. So you could just be in there, absorb what you absorb. I'm not coaching you like I might other people in the group. I would probably set the same stage with my kids. So they could be in there, which is fine. And not like the coaching is necessarily the whole thing of the thing. Being inside of those activities with each other and whatever, the other people. And you know, Charlotte is very comfortable with adults. So that would also suit her very well.
How'd your sister like it?
I think she loved it. She loved it. She was ill at the time, which is part of what I wanted her to do it. Why I wanted, because there was, you know, when you have, she had Parkinson's. So when you know that you have a terminal illness, there's a part of anyone that you could, in a sense, kind of give up certain, you know, optimism in life. And I was sensing that in her. And so that was one of the reasons that I asked her to come. Not that we were going to change anything, not that anything might be different, but that she could have a different view and grasp on kind of her own sense of peace and balance and those things. So that's why I asked her to come, and I think that we were able to create that together.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing. So no implementing the tools in parenting here.
We implement the tools all the time, especially on ourselves.
Yes, and with a
On
nice
each other.
smattering of cynicism and criticism and domination and all the things that is great about parenting. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but definitely not. Yeah, we're not running workshops here. And part of the work that we do, because there is some linguistic
Yeah.
aspects to the work that we do, etc. We look not to
Go overboard.
or do that to our children. They get part of our work is actually being that version of yourself, not just talking the talk. Yeah,
No
it's
words on
walking
the walk.
And there are parts. Just to the question you asked before about, is it challenging to, et cetera? Is it exciting? Is it fun? Is it tiring? It's more. You never land on the answers. It's always about being in the question, which was really frustrating for me as a person that's analytical and my engineering background and my numbers, banker, etc. And I look back and I thought I knew it all, as I always did all my life. Back 15 years ago, and I regret some of the whether I perceived people wronged me or some of the reactions that I've had. And, I look to make amends, etc. Not everyone. I haven't had the opportunity, we don't participate in their lives. But I do regret a lot of those behaviors. And I think what we instill, back to the question about our girls, is them being respectful and understanding, where if they fall short, it's okay to be with those parts of themselves. They're not defective, or there's nothing wrong with them. It's living with their humanity. So how do we do that without being linguistic coaches to them?
Right.
And also treating them with love and affection, and having them be themselves, but also being that with other people. So that's what we pay, I think, most attention to. And they're, I would say, not just because they're children. We all think, these are children, amazing and wonderful. They really are based on results, who they're being with their classmates and with the adults and the grown-ups. And they also have space to screw up and, make mistakes and be that version of themselves. So that's how, quote unquote, the training occurs in our house.
Okay.
It's by doing more than just by speaking. We mostly speak. I'm more the parameters guy. Peter's let them be.
Let them be.
So I have to back myself up from being that.
Back it
It's
up.
like, no, but we're parents, and
Yeah.
it's funny.
Wow. When I got home from basic, I was applying everything. Like, who are you being, Zuri?
This is her daughter.
How do you show up in the world?
Does she look at you like kind of furling her eyebrows and saying, "What the heck are you talking about?"
she gets it.
Oh, she gets it. Okay.
She's
they get
into
it too, though.
Yeah,
Kids get it way faster.
yeah, they do.
That's why the teen basic is like 2 days. The adult takes 4 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
Pick it up
really?
quicker.
It's 2 days.
They get
That
it
was a
quicker. They
week.
don't have they're not invested in the masks quite as deeply as we are when we become
I
adults.
see.
Yeah.
Fun.
And Kemi, your dog got it pretty quickly too, right?
Who are you being?
Who are you being? Wow,
Just a
that's
dog,
amazing.
Mom.
So when's the last time you had that? The teen
The
basic?
teen, but prior to COVID.
Okay.
So, COVID changed our world,
Yeah.
as like everybody else's. So, given we run educational seminars and experiential learning activities, how are we going to do this online? Okay. So, when COVID came, and then kids, including ours, schooling was inside of your house on a computer, the appetite for then to have them be in a weekend on Zoom was not happening. So we kind of pushed the pause button around COVID, and we haven't started up yet, but we will. So we
You
just
will?
haven't
Okay.
yet. Yeah.
Yes, I'm excited for that. I
Yeah.
have some teen brothers that need it. They get to go.
They get to go, as we say. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so what's like next for Synergy?
Oof. So
Or for
many
you
things.
two personally as well.
Well, yeah.
Okay, how many hours do you have?
What's next?
Do you want
No, I mean, I don't know exactly. We're
Right.
we wake up each day and we're doing what we're doing. We continue to work on everything Synergy, the public curriculum that we run in New York, the corporate stuff that we're doing. which is global, which is great. We're both in our 60s now at the beginning of that. So, but I can't imagine not, I guess you call it working. It is working, but it's like my life. So I don't imagine, it's hard to imagine not doing that. I'm not going to sit around and not do that. Okay. And, watch soap operas all day or something. Okay. I'm not. So I have no idea. We're just going to keep on building synergy. We're up to a lot of great things that are exciting and expansive. And I think actually in certain ways more than ever, the world really needs conversations that bring people together, where there's the chance for people to look at each other with understanding, not just judgment, where, part of the kind of wave of corporate work is because inside of companies, it's human beings and people are messed up anywhere that you go. So, not entirely, but there's challenges now in the world. And so I think coming out of COVID, things have not, shaken out entirely yet. So I think what we're doing is as important as it ever was. So in terms of the future, I don't know, we're keep chugging along with what we're doing.
And let me just say, because we've actually, since COVID, have revitalized, regrown, started to grow again, the community that, went into all the four directions of the east, west, north, in many directions. So there's a community, but the community is because there isn't a space. We weren't necessarily, just based in New York. It was kind of people in California, Florida, all over the place would come in and do the training. So because of the COVID world, people have ended up just staying more locally. And so how do you be inside of that work? Although people have great recollections of their journey and their time doing transformational work. And by the way, being great and bigger and expansive out in the world, which is really the underpinning. But I think what's next, and we've really taken a very powerful new direction inside of the corporate work, because that's what we're seeing we're impacting lately. And Peter and I are enjoying it greatly. We have engaged inside of Google, for example. Okay. We've been working with not just the ERGs, but even this conversation in 2026, we're scheduled to be working and doing seminars inside of that organization around what it is to live a joyous and powerfully generating life. Because one would say, they're at Google. You're right. It's about joy and wellness. And they're having a great time, right? Relative to all the kind of stress and distress that's going up around the world. So the Googlers have it great. No, everyone inside of this, we've all experienced disruption. So we're working with the Googles. We're doing more strategic work with the C-suites, et cetera, because we're noticing that all that cascades down to the VPs and down to organizations. So we're having a really amazing, powerful moment working with companies, first of all, that are innovative in that space, not just tech companies, but companies that are growing, quickly, like cosmetics companies and companies inside of tech. And it's not just about them, going unicorn or getting bought out. Mm-hmm. Yes, there is that, because results matter, but it's about those people really having a powerful footprint. They're mission-based, they're mission-oriented. And so we're really, we've taken kind of a strategic turn doing that work. And yes, continuing to rebuild the community at Synergy, the work, that you folks did. Mm-hmm. How do we continue expanding and having that footprint and fingerprint out in the world? So that's what's next. And do we have goals over the next 5 years? Absolutely, because we always work inside of that. But we're taking it year by year, 6 month by 6 month, and then growing and keeping on expanding that work. Starting over the next year, restarting the teen work. Right. And that's where we're going, and then expanding from there.
Peter, I was going to ask you, and Angel as well. So, it's transformation work. You've been doing it for 40 years.
Right.
Do you see it growing, exponentially kind of right now, or do you just kind of see it being a niche kind of?
Honestly, no. It's actually been shrinking.
Really?
Yeah. So, the whole field of personal transformation has, I don't know, kind of shrunk.
Atrophied.
Yeah, and I think when I think about it, so what is that about? There was always a conversation at the heart of the work that we all did together, which is, okay, there's me in my life, there's the things that matter, there's my kids, there's my community. But then there was always a conversation around like a view to expand your responsibility to those around, to like be a stand for the world around you. Like if something wasn't working, just complaining about it or being resigned about it was a bit, I don't know, invalid if you were willing to think that way. And for me, since COVID, there's like when I talk in the training about being a stand for other people, doesn't really
Resonate.
land.
Yeah.
No, there's like a missing. So inside of, and I don't know if I'm right, I think more time will be able to tell, but inside of the whole COVID thing, we all turned inwards to a certain extent. Everybody, life became about, my world, my safety, my security.
The price of eggs.
The price of eggs. I mean, right.
Who cares about racism and misogyny?
That's what life became. And that was always part of life.
Right.
But there was a way to be more expansive in one's view that just doesn't seem, I don't mean in a critical way, but it just doesn't quite seem to be the music of the moment. So do I think that that's going to shift? I do, because inside of the world that we live in, we're very fortunate. We're very lucky. We're very blessed. We have more than most people on the planet. And when you live like that, at some point you kind of consider, okay, well, what am I going to do to contribute? What am I going to do to give back? What am I going to do? And people do that in many, many ways. So I don't mean it that. But in terms of the connection with transformational work, like what it is to stand for a transformed environment, for a transformed world, the music of that has not been as resonant in the last couple of years. So I don't know. That's a little bit frustrating, maybe discouraging, but we don't give up on that because I think it's a time thing and it will come back around.
And I don't think it's pessimistic in the way you're expressing it. It
just is.
It just is. And what do we do about it? So what's our stand?
Right. We double down.
We double down instead of, okay, let's go sell real estate. Let's go do that.
Done that.
Done that. Okay,
So it's like reigniting the fire.
Yeah.
Just be a fire starter.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, this is not the moment yet, but there's so much about what it is to be together, like a shared experience, vulnerability, recognition, honor, that some of that's missing at the moment. I don't mean like black and white, but just like missing in degrees.
Right.
And, and the connection with how much more fulfilling one feels in life when you're like dancing the dance of contribution.
Right.
There's like a little bit of music missing around that, but I don't doubt that it'll return.
Come back.
Just a moment. A long moment. Feels like a long moment in our world, but just a moment, I think.
Yeah, and I think the injustices we're seeing, people kind of forgot about that because I think naturally we get into our survival around food or the price of things or whatever it is that, kind of, and I know I'm talking not just the politics of this country, but worldwide. That's what people forgot, that the mind is willing to not look over there around some of the bigger conversations we're talking about that impacts the whole community of human beings. And I think there was a waking up over the things that have happened in the last 10, 11 months and saying, oh, shoot, that when we all prosper, I prosper too.
Right.
So, and that also sounds very about me, but there's that connection has been lost, and I think people are starting to get it and wanting to do, okay, what are some tools that we can do that effectively, which is where, the work, we're hopeful. We're optimistic. It may have sounded pessimistic, but that's just the moment we're in.
Interesting because Kevin feels the opposite, right? You feel like it's a movement.
Yeah, no, I feel, I came to this with the blessing or the prodding of my sister, Regina, who you guys know as well. And she told me initially, Kevin, I did this great workshop program, and it helps you find your blind spots. And as a younger brother, my response was, well, you worry about your blind spots, I'll take care of my own. Until I then worked with a woman who recommended me, which was Carrie. And when she threatened not to work with me on a startup idea I was working on, and she goes, if you don't do synergy, Kevin, I don't think I'll be able to work with you anymore. Oh. I was like, all right. So she kind of walked me right into it. Okay. So, no, but I feel like it's a worldwide movement because I keep seeing things. And as I mentioned, Angel, a little bit earlier, is that like for the first time in human history, everyone can communicate with everyone around the world, just like never happened before.
Well, that's true.
And for good or bad.
Yes.
And what's happening is I just kind of feel that this is kind of percolating underneath the surface and is ready to come forward.
I do agree with that. That is my feeling too, is that when there will be a wave coming, when, and that's human beings change when they've suffered enough.
Right.
And so I think we're all living like collectively in some version of suffering. So at some point people are going to have like enough of it.
Yes.
Because we're enough to stand up to that and be different.
True.
So I do think that that's also gives me hope too, is like there's a wave, but all of a sudden a recognition of why that is so central to being a human being, which is to look out for each other and stand for each other and support each other. Every man or woman for themselves, and not so exciting.
And then that's a yummy conversation because the work we do ultimately, when people are kind of not just present to what's going on, but also they want prosperity. They want what they want. They see that. It's interesting in the rooms because then we can actually impact. Really, our work is not about remediating and troubleshooting
it's
stuff.
Like awareness.
It's the awareness, and then I can be operating here at this level, and even higher, and then higher. Then that's yummy to be doing that work. And then who doesn't want to be around that?
Yeah, because it's contagious as well.
Right. That's when it becomes like you're talking about a movement.
Well, I really want to know when you guys transition, what do you want to leave behind in Synergy? Like, what do you want people to know?
Well, that's a big question.
It's a legacy question. Listen, we have time. There's an abundance of time here. So,
and I didn't even take mastery yet.
Right.
Whatever transition means, I think we'll always be connected as long as, we have 2 fingers of wit on our brain, right? We'll always be connected because this is not just a self-expression, but I think this is a legacy already. Mm-hmm. Whether it's 1,000 graduates per year or 200, it's not necessarily a numbers game for us. It's an impact. And so transitioning, we'll always be connected to this work. I'm not switching again, right? I've shared about my 3 careers. I'm not switching again. This for me is a real self-expression around the difference we make in the world and creating results, because we're always creating results in the world. And so for me, it's as long as we can do it, that's what we're doing as we continue to, create our loving family, as we give back to our community, not just in the Synergy conversation, but just real places of need here, out in the East End and wherever we may end up calling home for the moment. So
I meant, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, I know. Cut
transition meaning like leaving this physical realm. That's what I mean.
Yes, I understood that for me. No, so all I would say is, there's no easy answer to that question. For me, it's like, how did you live? And when I was 19 years old and sat in that room and listened to what they said to me, and and however it was said to me, I saw that to go through my life and live just about what I wanted and what I needed and what I liked was insufficient. I don't think of it religiously, but I know a lot of religious undertones are that kind of conversation, which is we look out for each other, we take care of each other. And so just to be a bystander in that wasn't enough for me. I didn't think that it was valid. So my whole life around leading in these conversations is not because I care about leading a workshop. I don't even love leading workshops. That's not even the point. It's living my life in a way that, at least to my own definition, is adding light to the world around me. And so whenever it's done, it's done. Like I think of my friend Robin, who passed 15 years ago. She left a legacy of impact. You know, at her service, there were 2,000 people at her service because the people who worked in the place knew how many people there were. And I always thought, would there be 2,000 people at my service? Not that 2,000 is the point, but the point is, are you living a life of impact, of contribution, of touching others? And so whenever it's done, it's done. You know, there will be a moment. When my sister passed, she died in Canada. They have assisted suicide. Must be rephrased, I think. But so she took that path, and I spoke to her a few days before the moment, which is a very interesting way to die, because it's like, okay, at 11 o'clock on this date, I'm dying. That's like a weird way to die.
Yeah.
And I spoke to her a few days. I'm like, what if you change your mind? She goes, I'm not changing my mind. And so she was very clear about it. So, you know, when we transition, however that takes place, whether it's, you know, a surprise or by design, it's, in that sense, doesn't matter. It's like, it does matter in the sense of how am I being today? And am I like living like the best way that I could live today? And if not, then what am I going to do about it?
Well said. And I think now that I understand the question, I'm just going to say ditto. This is all we got. We're not getting to a place. This is it. And when it's over, you either did it, whether you're conscious of something after this life or not. This is it. This is what we created. And so, yeah.
And if you're being a jerk today, stop being a jerk. And if you're being amazing, keep being amazing.
And like you said, you know, one of the workshops too is that it's what kind of wake are you going to leave?
Exactly.
And not the wake that you go to for a funeral, but the wake that you leave.
Yeah, when a boat goes through the water. Exactly. Right. What's you know, the way I also talk about it is if we were also lucky to have 5 minutes before we die to look back, are you going to be effing dazzled by are you going to be dazzled by your life?
Oh, I love that.
If not, then
get at it.
What are you waiting for?
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Not
cool.
the rehearsal. This is it. This is the show.
I mean, this is it.
Yeah.
Recognize it or not, this is it.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you both very much.
Awesome way to end it. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right.
You.
Take care.
And by the way, let me just mention for anybody that's interested in finding out a little bit more about Synergy Education, our website is synergyeducationinc.com, synergyeducationinc.com. And we have 2 upcoming basics on the calendar right now. The next one begins on February 26th, followed by one on April 16th. And the structure of the basic, again, it's Thursday and Friday evening, all day Saturday and Sunday. Those are all in person at our offices in New York. And then it's followed up by a Zoom evening on a Wednesday after the weekend, kind of the completion evening. We call it the post session. And we also run pretty much weekly discovery sessions, which are, a couple of hours on Zoom. So wherever you may be in the country, you can still attend a discovery session if you want to really find out more about what this is all about. How does it work? Answer any questions that you may have. Also, really take a look and see if it's for you. What would be the value for you if you were going to participate? So those discovery sessions are also on our website with all the dates upcoming. So we've got the discovery sessions pretty much weekly and the upcoming basics, one in February and one in April at synergyeducationinc.com.